Hello everybody, how you all doing? My name is Rafael and welcome to today's video. Real quick, before we get into the gameplay part of my first ever solo legendary run and build, I want to apologize because when I actually recorded this, it was 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. I was really exhausted, really tired, and I forgot to create separate audio tracks for my microphone and the gameplay sound. I cannot edit the background noise, I cannot edit my PC fans, my breath, and things like that. So apologies for the audio quality when it comes to the gameplay part of the video. I thought about, removing the audio entirely and adding some music to the background. However, 40 minutes of gameplay without any audio, I think it's just too much and you guys wouldn't enjoy it. So again, apologies for the background noises. I hope you enjoy the gameplay and I will talk to you very soon when we go to the build part of the video. shitty ass fucking mailbox, dude. There we go. Should have wiped there. That was a very well play. This is the hardest part because of the crazy amount of grenades and explosive drones. We have 3 armor kits, which it's okay. We have 3% armor generation, 10% armor on kill. We might be able to do it. I just want to check something first. Holy moly, dude. Okay, okay. We can do this. We'll just play it slow. We don't need to push out. We're chilling, we're chilling. They can shoot me through here, but I cannot shoot them. Okay, I guess. "30 seconds till I get my revive hive back." We made it, boys. We fucking made it. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, boys. Finally. I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay part of the video. As I said already, I'm really sorry about the audio. I fucked up my bad. Hopefully it wasn't that bad on your ears, but it's time to talk about the build. Now, what's very interesting is yesterday I had a live stream where I was pretty much attempting to clear District Union Arena on Legendary all by myself, but I was using skill builds. I wasn't able to do it. I got close a couple of times, but I just didn't have enough of survivability. So I went to bed at around midnight, and at 3 a.m., 3:30 a.m., I woke up and I was like, I need to get a striker Memento build and try the District Union Arena on Legendary right now. So I got off the bed and I put together this build. I have posted a very similar build to this, a striker chameleon build with 3 or 4 red core attributes and the remaining being blue core attributes with fox sprayers or belts on armory. I don't quite remember exactly what the build was, but if you follow my channel, you have probably seen a similar build a couple of weeks ago when the striker came out. So this wasn't an entirely new concept. But the main idea here was that I want to have as much damage as possible without sacrificing a lot of my survivability. And that's why, as you can see, of course, we started off with the Memento. The Memento is one of the best, if not the best, exotics because both the short-term buff but also the long-term buff are very, very useful. Starting off with the long-term buff, we're going to get, when we have full stacks, 30% additional weapon damage, which equals to 2 red core attributes. We're also going to get 30% skill efficiency, which we don't really care about this build, but what's the most important part of the long-term buff is the 3% armor regeneration, because it allows me to chill behind cover, wait a couple of seconds and get my armor back without having to use armor kits. One of the biggest issues I had to face when I was attempting to clear legendary missions all by myself with skill builds was that I was running out of medkits, out of armor kits, which eventually meant that one grenade will land on top of me and I will die. So having that 3% armor generation here is huge. The short-term buff now, this is something I rarely say, but the short-term buff is actually equally important on this build. Why? Because District Union Arena on Legendary has a lot of rusters, right? As soon as you kill those rusters, you can pick up those trophies and you instantly get a bunch of weapon damage as well as bonus armor, which allows you to play a little bit more aggressively, or it gives you the extra weapon damage or that extra survivability because of that bonus armor that you need in order to clear enemies that are pushing you, in order to kill the tangas that are getting close, in order to do whatever. Obviously, you need to be very careful when you go out of cover in order to pick those up. I'm not saying forget everything and just go after the trophies. Obviously, that's going to be stupid and it's going to cause you to wipe again. But if you can get your hands on those short-term buffs without getting yourself killed, you should definitely get them because they're going to give you a lot of buffs. As we see here, we get 10% bonus armor per blue core. We have 3, which means that we're going to get 30% bonus armor, and we also get 5% weapon damage for every red core. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're also going to get an extra 20% weapon damage for every short-term buff we pick up. So you can understand that this can come very handy. Now, before we go into the striker pieces of this build, which are pretty self-explanatory, I want to spend some time talking about the second non-striker piece of this build because we have quite a lot of options. The first option is to go with fox sprayers. I have a core attribute of armor here. We obviously get the 8% damage instead of cover and an explosive resistance roll, which ideally should have been 12% critical hit damage, but it's okay, we don't really care. Now, keep in mind that you don't need to have the same core attributes as me, so this over here could have been a red core attribute if one of the rest striker pieces had the blue core attribute. Pretty much you want to have 3 blue core attributes and 4 red core attributes for this build. But you also don't need to go with the fox sprayers because we have quite a few of great alternatives. Alternative number 1 is of course a good Picaro's holster. 170k armor, 12% critical hit damage, 15% weapon damage. Now you may wonder which one does more damage, Picaro's holster or the fox sprayers? Well, let's find out. However, because my fox sprayers, as you can see here, don't have 12% critical hit damage, I'm gonna have to recalibrate the 12% critical hit damage of my Picaro's holster just to make sure that, you know, this is as fair of a comparison as possible. So let's get here explosive resistance. As you might have understand, this obviously is going to be a very long video, much longer than I normally used to make these videos, simply because it's not every day I post a video that can clear legendary content all by itself. So with the Picaro's holster, so we have 115% critical hit damage, Picaro's holster is gonna hit for 191. Fox sprayers over here. We have, let's get one 12% critical hit damage mod over here. Should be, yeah, almost the same. $194. So Fox sprayers come on top just for a little bit, so it doesn't really matter if you go with Fox sprayers or the Picaro's holster. The difference isn't gonna be that big. However, it seems like the Fox sprayers, that 8% damage targets out of cover, because it's a multiplicative, actually is more beneficial to your build than the 15% weapon damage that we have over here. Another great option, in case you want to have that a little bit extra survivability, would be to go with a Bellstone Armory piece for the 1% armor regeneration. That way your total armor regeneration would be 4% instead of 3%, which, you know, over 10 seconds you're gonna get 10% extra armor. It's not that huge of a difference, but it might save your ass a couple of times. It really comes to how much you want to invest in survivability and how much you want to invest in damage. For me personally, this over here is the perfect balance. Now let's talk about the striker. The good thing about the striker and why I decided to go with it is that because of all the extra damage that it offers, we can invest a couple of core attributes to armor without having to worry too much about losing on our potential DPS. And that's what I did. As you can see here, 2 blue core attributes. Our damage is through the roof. As you saw from the gameplay, it can reach all the way up to 1 million with an insane RPM of 1035. You're gonna melt everything in your path. For those of you who don't know, Striker 2 pieces give you 15% weapon handling, 3 pieces give you 15% rate of fire, and then we have at 4 pieces the Striker's Gamble. Weapon hits increase total weapon damage by 0.65%, stacking up to 100 times. 1 stack lost per second between 0 to 50 stacks, 2 stacks lost per second between 50 and 100 stacks. On my mask, I have maxed out weapon damage almost, 12% critical hit damage, and a mod for 12% critical hit damage. On my gloves, pretty much the same, 15% weapon damage, 12% critical hit damage. Holster, we have that 1 blue core attribute, 170k armor, 6% critical hit chance. And on the chest piece, weapon damage maxed out, 12% critical hit damage and 12% critical hit damage mod. The talent on the chest piece is very important because it increases our max stacks from 100 to 200. We're also going to be losing 3 stacks per second between 100 and 20 stacks. Now, having 20 stacks means that at 100 stacks, which is where most of the times we're going to be staying at, 90, 120, 130, somewhere around there, we're going to be getting at least 65% increased weapon damage. Now, I know that a lot of people think that me not using the Striker backpack causes me to lose a lot of DPS, and if we look at just from numbers perspective, yes, I lose quite a lot of increased weapon damage, because with the Striker backpack at max stacks we have 200% increased weapon damage, and now we only have 130, which means that we'll lose 70% increased weapon damage. However, that 70% goes down to just 40 as soon as we get our max stacks on the Memento, because of the 30% additional weapon damage that the long-term buff is going to be offering. And as soon as we pick up 1 short-term buff trophy, we're also going to get an extra 20. So in reality, we're only losing like 20% of increased weapon damage, which is not that bad, because in exchange for that 20% weapon damage that we're losing, we're getting 3% armor generation, 1 blue core, and 30% bonus armor every time we pick up a trophy. So overall, I think that the Memento is going to be the better option here. Now, moving on to the weapon, the Chameleon was the weapon of my choice, simply because we're going to be getting a bunch of buffs from its talent. After 30 headshots, we will get 20% critical hit chance and 50% critical hit damage, which means that we will reach 60% critical hit chance, which is the cap, and 167% critical hit damage. After 75 body shots, we also gonna get plus 90% weapon damage. 90% equals to 6 red core attributes. And of course, if you decide to go for the leg shots, or if it happens, you know, by itself because a couple of your shots hit there, after 30 leg shots, you're gonna get 150% reload speed for another 45 seconds, which it's not awful, but it's also not amazing. It's nice to have, however, if it ends up happening. Now, what's very important about the Chameleon buffs is that the buffs do not run out when you're out of combat. So let's say you just procced your body shots, right? And you just killed the last enemy in the wave that you were fighting. The buff, the countdown for the 45 seconds, it's not gonna start, or it's not gonna continue counting unless you enter combat again, which is very nice because it means that you don't have to waste your stacks, you don't have to waste your buffs running from one encounter to another, just like it happens with the strikers hardly. As you can see here, I'm also getting a 9% weapon damage bonus from my expertise. This obviously can be 20 if you're maxed out, it can be 0 if you're level 0. It really comes down to what level your expertise is. Mine is at 9, so I have it maxed out at 9 for the time being. And the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is, of course, the specialization. Now, talking about the specializations, you have two good options in my opinion. The first one being the Demolitionist. We want the Demolitionist because of this talent. Brace for impact. Ignore explosions. Can only trigger once every 60 seconds. Now, because in legendaries you have a bunch of explosive drones, you have grenadiers, you have the turrets and all those things, you're gonna be dealing with a lot of grenades and explosives on you. So going with the Demolitionist, you can ignore one explosive every 60 seconds. It can save your life most of the times. However, because I'm going, as I told you, with a 3% armor generation from the Memento, I found myself that I didn't have to worry that much about the explosions on top of me, simply because after a couple of seconds, my armor started going back up again, and if I killed 1 or 2 enemies because I decided to go with a gunner, I was getting armor back, so I didn't have to use armor kits, and it went pretty smooth. Now, the second good option, of course, is the gunner, which is what I decided to go with. Now, the gunner, good talents on it. The first one is this one over here. Killing enemies grants you 10% armor. This will help you with your survivability. You know, killing an enemy, you get that armor back, so it's harder for the enemies to kill you, but also it's gonna help you by saving your armor kits for when you really need them. Also, combine the 10% armor on kill with the 3% armor generation every second. Those two work great and you have a lot of survivability. The second great talent, every third reload is 50% faster. It's gonna help with keeping our DPS higher. Third good talent, hardened armor kits. Armor kits repair 100% armor and grant 30% bonus armor for 10 seconds. The 30% bonus armor can be used in order to peek out of cover and, you know, get shot, but you don't really care because you're losing bonus armor. Then we have the supply line. Generate 10% of total ammo capacity every 60 seconds. That's great because on legendaries where it takes a lot of bullets to kill enemy NPCs, running out of ammo was something that I had to deal with quite a lot when I wasn't running with a gunner specialization. Going with the gunner specialization, it minimizes the problem. It still is an issue if you run out of ammo, it's still possible. However, it doesn't happen as fast as if you are using a different specialization. 10% weapon handling while not moving. Need to be motionless for 1 second. That works great with the Chameleon, that we want it to be as accurate as possible and as stable as possible. 10% handling really helps. And then the last is, of course, the rate of fire increase by 5% on kill for 5 seconds. We already have a very high rate of fire because of the striker, which offers 15% increased rate of fire. The Chameleon also has a very high RPM by itself, so when we combine all those three together, we get a laser beam. The last thing I want to talk about is, of course, the skills. I decided to go with the Crusader Shield simply because it will offer me a couple of extra seconds that I can be out of cover and don't have to worry about dying, because the shield actually absorbs all the bullets. So it allows me to pick out of cover, get a couple of shots on the enemy, go back behind cover. The second skill is the Revive Hive. The Revive Hive saved my ass quite a lot of times, and it's also one of the pros of going with a weapon build on legendaries, that you can actually bring a Revive Hive with you. When I was going with my skill builds, wasting one of my two main sources of damage so that I can have a Revive Hive wasn't an option. So if you died, you're dead. That's it. You have to wipe. Here, the Revive Hive saved my ass at least, I think it was at least 4 or 5 times. So yeah, that's it pretty much, guys. I don't have anything else to talk about. Keep in mind here that playstyle, experience, and things like that matter a lot when you're going for solo legendaries. I'm pretty sure that there are players out there who can clear legendary content with builds that I'm not able to do. And some of you might not be able to clear the legendary content with this build that I'm showing you because your playstyle, your aim, or whatever is different than mine. When we're talking about legendary content, I think that the build is as important as the player behind that build. Because if that player doesn't know how to use that build to its fullest, then it's not gonna help him clear that content. So you need to keep that in mind. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Obviously, it was much longer. Apologies for that, but I wanted to cover everything. If you enjoy the content and you want to support me, please make sure to drop a like and to subscribe for more content. I really appreciate it. I've also very recently started a Discord server. Pretty much, I want to create a small community on Discord with you guys, the subscribers of my channel, where we can talk about games, we can organize events, we can do raids and things like that. It's not going to be only about Division 2, it's going to be about gaming in general. However, I understand that the majority of you follow me for the Division content, so I have quite a lot of channels and things like that on the server that you can use. So yeah, if you want to drop by, feel free to do so. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Bye bye.